You didn't ask, but we're going to talk about the 2025 NBA offseason. I'm Jory.
I'm Justin.
I'm Toby.
All right. So you might recognize our faces. Uh, we are the former members of the Full Court Report, minus Spencer. And in this time since the NBA season has ended, we have been bought out by the larger conglomerate that is You Didn't Ask. But we've been grateful for the process. Um, we're excited for this new venture. Yeah, a lot of content to come, but so if you liked our content back there, you'll like it here.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot to talk about because we haven't done any episode on sports in what feels like 2 months, I think. So a lot has happened. The Oklahoma City Thunder have won the NBA championship, so congrats to them. But we're not even going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about everything that's happened pretty much after the NBA playoffs. And we're going to try and go, I guess, in chronological order as much as possible, starting a little bit further back. But Justin, we'll start with your Knicks, the New York Knicks. I think it was, I don't know exactly the day Tom Thibodeau was let go by the Knicks, but they did a pretty extensive coaching search and they landed on former Sacramento Kings head coach Mike Brown, who is set to become the next head coach of the Knicks. So Justin, we'll start with you. What do you think of this hiring? Do you think Mike Brown is the right coach for the job? And in your opinion, what does he need to achieve in his first season for it to be considered a success?
Well, before we get into Mike Brown, I just got to talk about how I'm still salty that we got rid of Tibbs, man. Really love that guy. He brought us back. You know, we were a joke, like the 2015 to like 2018. Him and Julius Randle put us back on the map, and ever since then, we've just been getting better every year. We just had our best season in 20 years, and then they let go of Tom Thibodeau. But I don't think Mike Brown is a bad hire at all. He got the Kings out of their, however long, 20 plus year playoff drought. And I feel like he did dirty, over there too, a little bit. So he might have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, seeing how Tom Thibodeau just kind of did how he did a couple years ago or last year, whenever it was. But yeah, I don't think he's a bad hire. There were other people I wish we could have had, but they're currently hired, like Ime Udoka. I wish we could have snagged him somehow. But I think for next season to be a success, it's a high bar, but I think he's got to win the first round matchup at least for it to be a success next season. We have our whole same core, our six guys, the starters, and Mitch or Josh Hart, whoever's coming off the bench this year. And I think Mike Brown has the potential to unlock the offense, especially between Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's really going to be able to have them working together better than they did under Tibbs.
Wait, so I have a question. You said you said 1 round win would be successful season for the Knicks. I don't know how you can say that when they just made the Western Conference Finals. I mean,
Eastern Conference, but
Eastern, my bad.
I do understand that he is a new coach for this team, and all of the players are going to have to buy into his system, learn his playbook. I'm sure they can carry over some things from the Tibbs era because that's what they're used to, but it's a learning period. They're probably, they'll probably be floating around 500, I would say, for like first 20, 25 games. And then once they learn, they learn each other, they learn the group. I think that's when they start to take a step up.
All right. I think I disagree with you a little bit. This took me some thinking too. Like when the Knicks first made that move, I thought it was a bad move. I think a lot of the recent coaching hiring or firings, more specifically, have been bad moves for some of these other teams. I think I might actually agree with the Knicks moving on from Tibbs though in this situation. I feel like Mike Brown, he's a great coach, obviously former coach of the year. I think he can carry them very far, and I don't think it's going to be a situation where there's going to be a huge transition. I mean, the roster is still pretty much the exact same. So they, for the most part, they already know how to play with each other. I think you have to at least make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals for you to consider it, like a successful season.
No.
You said it yourself. You said it too. There's only a few years of window where the Knicks can win a championship, and obviously every year counts significantly. So I think anything besides a Eastern Conference Finals visit is a failure. I think this team now, especially with the slightly weakened East, you guys should be expecting to win a championship this year, regardless of what kind of roster you have. And I think Mike Brown helps that. Very intense coach. I think the players are going to love playing for him. Whereas, there's been some discussions between the players and Tibbs, some speculation and things like that. So I think this is a good move for the Knicks. I expect them to be better from this move. And I think you guys should have very high standards going into the season.
Yeah, and real quick before you go, Jory, I do kind of keep forgetting all of the injuries in the East. We're going to get into that in a minute, but that is a good point you make, Toby. I forgot about that, so that's on me, but I might have to switch my answer. For a successful season, I agree we might have to get back to at least the conference finals. And at this point, with the injuries, it should be a finals visit. And now I'm still scared of the teams in the West, but I feel like a finals visit would be a huge success. A failure would be not getting back to the conference finals.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when you first said that all you wanted to see was a first round win.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think in order for Mike Brown's first season to be considered a success, it's finals or bust for the Knicks. I think they have to win the Eastern Conference.
A lot of pressure.
Hey, but like you guys briefly mentioned, the Eastern Conference, they are dealing with a handful of injuries that's going to severely impact the conference next year, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I don't know if Mike Brown is a perfect hire for the Knicks, but I do like the idea of pairing him in New York because he's more of an offensive-minded coach. At least he has been when he was in Sacramento. Like you mentioned, Justin, he got them out of that long playoff drought. It was 17 years. Back in the 2022-2023 season, he led the Kings back to the playoffs. They had the best offense in the NBA. And I do feel like right now the Knicks have more of an offensive slanted roster than a defensive slanted one. And I think it was kind of time to move on from Tom Thibodeau, who obviously is known for, as a defensive minded coach. So I'm excited. I'm curious to see what kind of innovative offense Mike Brown will bring to New York. Obviously, he's got a lot of superstars, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. He's going to get a lot of usage out of OG and McHale. But yeah, I think the Knicks have all the pieces for a historically good offense next year. I think you bring in guys like a Jordan Clarkson off the bench, Deuce McBride, who's going to be I think another solid player for them. So the Knicks are going to be a very interesting team, and like you guys said, it's a weakened Eastern Conference. So I really feel like the bar is extremely high, and I think the Knicks ownership, is feeling the same way. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have let go of Tibbs. So. Yeah.
Like you said, coach of the year. I feel like you could really compare, maybe not down to like the exact style of play, but I feel like you can compare the duos of Fox and Sabonis and compare that to Brunson and Cat. I feel like it's a very small transition from one duo to another as Mike Brown being the head coach. That's something that he can manage.
Yeah, and I mean, you might even get a little bit more juice from someone like Cat because Sabonis really is not a shooting threat like whatsoever. So I feel like Cat is a little bit more versatile offensively. So I'm curious to see what he can unlock with those two in New York. But both of you guys mentioned it, so we may as well talk about it. The Eastern Conference is just riddled with injuries right now, and to some huge players. We witnessed a lot during the NBA playoffs. Damian Lillard, I believe he was the first to go down, and we'll talk about Dame in a second. But he, with the Milwaukee Bucks, tore his Achilles. Then it was Jason Tatum in their series against the Knicks, and then Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Just a brutal thing to watch, honestly, just terrible. And then on top of that, Darius Garland of the Cavs, he needed surgery on his left big toe following the playoffs, which is going to keep him out for about 4 to 5 months. So, I mean, he'll be back during the regular season, but you never know how that'll linger throughout next year. Obviously, injuries played a big role as to why the Cavs didn't succeed in this year's playoffs. But I'm curious to get your guys' opinion on this. Aside from the Knicks, I think we all are in agreement that the Knicks are going to be a top contender in the East. So aside from New York, which team do you think could make a push to win the East next year?
I'll let you go, Toby. What do you got to say for yourself?
All right, so I think that regular season, I still feel like the Pistons are going to be up there. Even without Garland, I feel like they have such a solid roster, defensively speaking.
You do mean the Cavaliers, correct?
Who did I say?
The Pistons.
You said the Pistons.
Dude, I'm all over the place.
It's all good.
Okay, sorry.
Same division.
All right, no, thank you. So I think I'm sorry. I think the Cavaliers, I think they're still going to be a top team. I guess I spoiled myself a little bit because I think the Pistons, I think they're going to be really good next year. I don't know about them winning the East, but I definitely think they can get top 3. Maybe Knicks, Cavs, Pistons. I think 1, 2, 3. I think that they feel like one of those teams that have struggled for the past decade. Last year was kind of their their coming out party, I guess, if you will. And I feel like they got Caris LeVert. They have a very well-rounded team, very solid team defensively. A lot of young pieces that are just kind of figuring it out. I think the offense is going to improve. And yeah, I mean, I think they got a lot of vets too. I think they have some good vets on the team. So Duncan Robinson, good shooter. I think the Pistons can go very far. And I think, they won a couple of games against the Knicks this year in the playoffs as well. That'll give them a little bit of confidence going into next year. And I just really believe in Cade too. He seems like he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder next year. I think he deserves to be in the conversation of best up and coming young stars in the league. So I really like the Pistons. I think they're going to go far, and they would be my, I guess, dark horse to win the East next year.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. I still think Pistons probably, I don't know if they'll be top 3. They'll probably at least be a 6 seed like they were last year, I think. They'll probably sneak into maybe like the 4 spot. Maybe they can sneak into the 4 spot. I also think Cleveland, they picked up Lonzo Ball. So that's a huge pickup for them considering Garland's going to be out for, a good chunk of the beginning of the season. I think Cleveland, they'll still be a top 3 team. But the Hawks, I really like the Hawks offseason. Picking up Kristaps, given that he plays, that's a good pickup. There's another guy. Luke Kennard. Is that who they picked up?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke Kennard. That's a great pickup. I really like their free agency. I didn't pay attention to their draft picks, but the Hawks, yeah, I like they finally got that guy Trae Young some help. With the East being this week, dude, I think they dodged the play-in at least. They're dodging that play-in, getting into just locking up a playoff spot. And the Orlando Magic. I think the top 3 in the East for me is going to be Knicks, Cavs, Magic. Desmond Bain is a great pickup. That whole thing, last season, especially in the playoffs, was that the Magic didn't have as good a floor spacing as you'd think. And I think Desmond Bain is going to help out with that tremendously.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is Cleveland. Like, they were right there all of this past season at the top of the East, and they kind of just crumbled down the stretch. But I really like what you had to say about Atlanta, Justin. I think they had maybe the best offseason of any team. Like you said, they traded for Kristaps without really letting go of any of their like rotational players. Like you said, they signed Luke Kennard. They also signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's another like, I don't know, kind of just do it all guard, good defensive player who played a lot of minutes for a good Minnesota team these past couple of years. They all, obviously if they're going to be returning Trae Young, they're going to be returning Dyson Daniels, who was a most improved player. Number 1 pick, Zach Risache. I think he's going to have a good solid second season in the league. And then Jalen Johnson, who was injured last year, he'll be back healthy. So I do feel like they have the makings of a really solid team. And, there was a couple of years ago when Trae Young kind of led the Hawks to an Eastern Conference Finals berth. And I feel like this team kind of has a little bit of the same makings of that team. Quinn Snyder, who's entering year 4 as head coach in Atlanta. So there's a little bit of continuity now. So I feel like all these pieces are going to mesh together well. And I feel like that the Hawks could shock a lot of teams in the East this year. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure you're not excited to hear that.
No, I'm not.
PTSD.
It's going to be rolling dice on the court again.
Them and the Pacers.
Well,
keep messing this up, man.
Yeah, Indiana. It's going to be a rough season next year, I'm sure.
Yeah,
they had their moment in the sun this postseason. So, but yeah, it's going to be a very interesting Eastern Conference battle next year. We'll see who comes out on top.
I can tell you who's coming out on bottom.
Oh boy, you're not liking Yegor?
Nah, we'll get into it. But
okay, interesting. Well, I did say we're going to go in chronological order, but this was actually very recent, and I'm glad that we kind of waited a little bit to record this podcast because this was major news. We finally found out where Damian Lillard is going to be playing, maybe for the rest of his career. That's back in Portland. 9-time All-Star Damian Lillard has agreed to a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Blazers. This is a pretty surprising homecoming for the injured superstar. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, he tore his Achilles during the Bucks playoff run. But I don't know, man. This was a little bit of a shocker, I think, to some people. But I'm really curious to get your opinions. How do you feel about Lillard deciding to finish his career in Portland?
I feel bad for Dame, man. Feel bad. This is supposed to be like a good, happy moment. So I'm sorry to kind of, make it, sound a little sad, but he wanted his whole career to last in Portland. He wanted to win in Portland. He wanted to do it, the hard way, homegrown talent, or, building through a franchise player, and they couldn't do it. And then he reluctantly got traded to Milwaukee. Of all the places he could have been traded to, I guarantee Milwaukee was not the spot. Tried to snag a ring with Giannis, got injured in the playoffs both years he was there. And just he's been getting unlucky, and Portland definitely has not gotten better since he left. So, going back, it's good. I kind of, I respect it going back, trying to retire at the franchise that drafted you, but I don't know. If he still wants any chance at a ring, it seems a little silly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's when I first heard the news, I wasn't a fan of it for the same exact reasons Justin said. I do understand it from Dame's perspective, wanting to stay loyal to the team that drafted you. He was there for more than a decade, so he's probably still knows a lot of people and still has family over there and stuff like that, I would assume. So it makes sense. I think we can probably chalk it up to he's not going to be winning a ring in his career. I don't see him going anywhere else until he retires. And that's fine. It's some of the best players that ever played never won a ring. They still get clowned, here and there, but I don't think that'll take away from how great Dame was, carrying that team for all those playoffs that he did. So I feel good about it, especially for the fans. I think this is great for the Trailblazer fans getting their guy back. I mean, it was rough there for a couple of years, without a solidified star. So I'm happy for the fans. They can all keep their Lillard jerseys. It's like kind of bittersweet because, like I said, he's not winning the ring. It's very unlikely that the Timberwolves or Trailblazers win a ring. But I think it's the right move for his family, for his career, and so I think, yeah, I can't hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. But in my opinion, I love this move. I love this move for Dame. I love this move for Portland. I love this move just for the NBA in general. I think in terms of like a team building aspect, like for the Blazers, this is like a dream come true for them because obviously they traded Dame. So they traded Dame to the Bucks, back, what was it, 2 years ago, I guess, for Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, a 2029 first round pick, and then 2 pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. Then they flipped Drew Holiday for Rob Williams and then draft capital, which helped them get Denny Avdia. And now Holiday is back on Portland because of the Anthony Simon trade. So, like, realistically, I don't know. It's like they didn't trade anything and they just got a bunch of players back. And I felt like when you look at it like that, despite what you believe of like what Dame is going to be for the rest of his career and what Drew Holiday is at this point of his career, I feel like you have to look at it like that in a positive light for Portland. But I feel like Portland has a good mix of like veteran players and young players. Like, they have Scoot Henderson, who I really like personally, Donovan Clingan, who they drafted last year. They drafted Yang Hansen, who's like a lot of people think he's like the next Jokic.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if he's going to be that good, but he's definitely a really fun player to watch. And then, they got Jeremy Grant and some other players, but I feel like Portland, they're going to be interesting. They were pretty good down the stretch of last season. They were competitive, staying in the playoff race despite, not making it. Chauncey Billups, I think, has been a solid coach for them the past couple of years, and I think Dame wanted Chauncey in Portland. I think that was his last season in Portland, so it's good that he's still there. I think that's probably another reason why he chose to go back. But, we talked about the whole ring thing and Dame probably not going to be able to win a ring. I just feel like there's no guarantee of winning a ring for any player. Like, we could say, oh, he should have went to the Celtics or something, or the Thunder or whoever, and Dame would have just been perfectly fine. He would have won a ring and his legacy would have changed. But there's just no guarantee of that. Like, how long has James Harden been searching for a ring, like teaming up with other superstars? Or like, I even think of when DeMarcus Cousins signed with the Golden State in 2019, and everyone thought that was like a shoe-in for a championship, and they didn't win. So it's like, we can say Dame could have went to a better team and, obviously had a better chance of winning a ring, but there's no guarantees in the NBA. It's just simply like that. So I think it's great that he's prioritizing himself and not getting caught up in the NBA discourse where he feels the pressure to, chase a ring, and as if that's really going to change anything with how we view him. But
I agree.
yeah, I don't know. Shout out Dame, man. Shout out Dame. This was awesome. I'm so excited to watch him like go out on the court. Obviously, I don't think he's going to play next season, but when he suits up and he takes the court back in Portland, that's going to
get
like,
a huge ovation.
That's going to be like the craziest ovation ever. Like, that's it's going to be like Dwayne Wade going back to Miami after he left. I think he was in Cleveland and Chicago, or like KG when he left. He was in Boston and Brooklyn, and then he went back to Minnesota. Like, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy.
That was a terrible era of NBA basketball when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce were on the Nets. That was terrible time.
Well, the Celtics are certainly happy about it.
I respect the move too, because like you kind of mentioned it, but it is a little bit sad when I see these like older superstars and every single year they're just on a new team. Like, they're not the same player. They're just searching for a ring. Like when Carmelo was on the Lakers, it's like, come on. Like, I don't know. It's just, even if you do win a ring at that point with like a very minimal role on the team, like, what's the point?
Right.
I get you.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was just cool to see. But yeah, shout out Dame, and get well soon, man, because great player, great person, all that stuff.
I would say that I would argue that Dame might be top 10 point guard ever.
Ooh, that's an interesting debate.
Top 4 shooter of all time.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say that.
Steph,
top 10 point guard, yeah, but top 4 shooter.
Steph, Clay, and I would even go as far as to say you could swap Dame and Ray Allen for 3 and 4.
I don't think so.
Reggie Miller.
I got Dame over Reggie Miller.
James Harden.
You're probably right.
James Harden.
James Harden. He might just be a better.
Don't sleep on James Harden.
But shooter, yeah, he's probably up there. Interesting. I don't know. Stuff to say. But well, this should be an interesting segment. I want to play a little Texas Hold'em. Not really.
That's what I like to hear.
I thought the state of Texas, I mean, in the NBA, they welcomed a plethora of new talent this offseason. First, Kevin Durant landed in his new home. He's going to the Houston Rockets in a blockbuster trade that involved, I think, 7 teams, which was like an NBA record. And then the Dallas Mavericks, they selected Cooper Flagg number 1 overall in this year's draft after winning the NBA lottery, which a lot of people obviously did not see that coming. And then San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama has been cleared with his blood clots injury that ended his season last year. And they also, with the number 2 overall pick, drafted Dylan Harper, who obviously has a ton of upside. But so yeah, I mean, I think all the teams in Texas, they're going to be very competitive next year. But I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Which Texas team will have the best season? And by what I mean by that is, who do you think will go the furthest, I guess, in the playoffs next year?
Well, what do you think, Jory? Why don't you go first?
Okay. I think the obvious answer is Houston. I think that's the obvious answer. Last year they were a 2 seed without KD, and they essentially replaced Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks with Kevin Durant. And I like this move because obviously, you know, Kevin Durant's an all-time great player. He's still, I think, till he retires, he's going to be one of the best players in the league. But he's going to a team with a really good defensive infrastructure, which I don't think he's had in a handful of years. I felt like when he was in Brooklyn and Phoenix, he was kind of overtasked with his defensive responsibilities and also just like being a physical bruising player, which not to say that he can't do that, but I feel like you don't really want KD, you know, being like the backbone of a defense and, you know, banging down low with like stronger dudes. So I felt like now he's going to Houston that has, you know, Jabari Smith and Tari Eason and Amen Thompson and, you know, a bunch of bigger dudes, Alperen Şengün, Steven Adams. They got Clint Capella, right? Like they have a ton of big dudes, a huge front court. So I feel like KD can now just focus on being the number one option on offense. And I think the rest of the team is just going to do their job. So I feel like he's going to slot in really easily with that team. Yeah, I mean, the Rockets, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, I think, next season. But I'll also say I'm really intrigued with Dallas. I'm very intrigued with what Dallas could be next year. I think Cooper Flagg changes the entire outlook of this team. I think this past season when Kyrie got hurt, I was kind of on the fence of, okay, well, what is this team going to be without Kyrie? Because obviously they still have Anthony Davis, but, you know, outside of that, like, they don't really have a lot of juice, I would say. But now it's like you got Cooper Flagg, who I think is going to walk into the NBA and be a really good player. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar immediately, but he's definitely going to be a guy that's a lot of teams are going to be worried about. And on top of that, I think Kyrie will have more of a motivation to come back this season. I think as so long as the Mavericks can stay competitive, which I think they will, Kyrie will, you know, work his way back into the lineup. And when he's back, I mean, I don't know, it's a pretty scary duo or trio, I guess, with Kyrie, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and then really good depth with Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Clay. So I don't know. I feel like Dallas could be a sneaky good team, but I feel like it does hinge a lot on how good Cooper Flagg can be as a rookie. But I'm willing to bet on him because during his one season at Duke, I mean, he looked like he could do it all. So, yeah. But I think if I were to pick one team that's going to go the furthest, it's going to be Houston.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, all three of the Texas teams have a lot of upside right now. You know, even with Kevin Durant getting up there in age, the Rockets still have a great young core. They have Jabari Smith, they have Alperen Şengün, they have Amen Thompson, they have Reed Shepherd. All of these guys who have only been in the league for handful of years. I think out of those four guys that I just mentioned, Şengün has been around the longest, if I'm not mistaken, and he's only been in the league for 3 or 4 years. So, you know, even if Kevin Durant, you know, 2 years from now is like, oh, you know, hanging it up, there, as long as they can keep that core together, they'll still be competitive. Although most of the Mavericks core that's, you know, they're either starters or, you know, they get on the floor, they're a little bit more up there in age. You know, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Clay, they're all, you know, in their 30s. I think Anthony Davis is in his 30s. Yeah. And the Spurs, dude, the Spurs, I think, in my opinion, have the most upside, you know, let's say heading into 5 years from now. But even this season, I think they have a solid team to make a playoff push. I really like their draft pick. Bryant Carter, is that his name?
I think it's Carter Bryant.
Carter Bryant. There you go. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah. I agree.
You know, I I'm real, not locked in on college basketball at all, but just seeing, highlights after the fact, after he was drafted, seeing how, coaches and other players talk about him, seeing how he's doing in summer league. The Spurs have just been hitting on like every draft pick these last couple of years. So um I'm very excited for them in the future, but I do agree. I think Houston goes the farthest out of those teams in Texas. Um who knows? I mean, you could even put them up there as a favorite to come out of the West. I think at this point, although in my opinion, you had said Atlanta had the best offseason, Jory. I think the Nuggets had a very nice offseason. They're up there for best offseason with free agency, but I think the top three out west is definitely any combination of Houston, OKC, and Denver. Maybe the Timberwolves sneak in there, but I do agree. Houston is probably making it the farthest out of the teams of Texas.
Tobe.
All right. I'll just keep it short and sweet. I agree with you guys. I think the Rockets are the easy choice. Kevin Durant, as old as he is, he's still, one of the best scorers in the league. I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. He brings a leadership aspect to the team as well. So I think if they can make it out of the West and somehow win a chip, I mean, this will be like, I feel like this would look so good on his resume as far as, everybody says like he got carried when he was on the Warriors or he chose the easy way out. And I think this will kind of disprove everybody. I think this is kind of what the Rockets needed. Like, a veteran leadership like this, a superstar that has been to the finals multiple times, can kind of carry them through the playoffs. He obviously went to the University of Houston, he went to Texas. Sorry. So, yeah, I think the Rockets are the easiest choice out of the West. I like the Spurs as well. I think another year of De'Aaron Fox, and hopefully if we get a fully healthy Wemby this year, I think they can go really far, a lot farther than people, may think that they can go. Stephon Castle with another year, he's looking like a really, really good young player. So I'm really excited for the Spurs. I think out of those three teams, and I could be very wrong, but I think that the Mavericks will be the worst out of the three. Not saying that they're going to be bad, but I don't think you can, put all your money on a rookie that hasn't played in the league yet. I don't know. I feel like I think Cooper is going to be really good, but I feel like a lot of people have very, very high expectations for him just going into year one. And this guy's like, 18 years old, 19. So I just don't think you can, I don't think him being on a team this year one, will make them so much better. I think they're a better team than they showed last year. And they're definitely going to make the playoffs. And they might be the best team, in 3, 4, 5 years from now. It's going to be them and the Spurs. But if we're talking about next year, I think the Rockets are my number one out of the West.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Cooper Flag is just going to get in where he can fit in, to say the least. Like, I feel like he can be a team player, I don't think he needs to be like a number one go-to scoring option. I feel like he can do all the intangible things. So I feel like he's going to help them in a lot of different areas. But the Spurs, they might have the best young trio in the league when you think of Dylan Harper, Wemby, and Steph Castle. But I just feel like the De'Aaron Fox trade looking like I think at the time it made a ton of sense. But now it's like, I feel like now you're kind of just hindering the development of what that trio could be. Because I don't think you can start De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and Steph Castle. I mean, maybe you could, because Wemby is 7'9" and can block any shot in the universe. But I don't know. So I just feel like I got to see that and see how it plays out in San Antonio. But I feel like they're still going to be a really competitive team. And they got a very bright future. So should be interesting.
Honestly, if I'm the Spurs, I'm moving on from De'Aaron Fox at the deadline next season.
Wow.
Even if it works out, totally fine. Like, even if they somehow manage to, be a top 5 team in the West come the deadline, I think you trade him for, I don't even know. We'll have to see, how every team and every superstar, or not even superstar, just every solid player, how everything turns out. But I think they should make a play for a wing, like a very good, solid starting wing. I've been seeing things about RJ Barrett might be on the trade block next year. I feel like RJ Barrett, slap him at the 3 down there in San Antonio would work a lot better than all of those guards. Because I meant to bring this up for Houston, but the Spurs are kind of the opposite. Houston doesn't have enough guards, and San Antonio has way too many.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's like I said, I just got to see it. Not to say it's not going to work. But I feel like they're going to have a little bit of growing pains this year, which is fine because they're still a very young team. So, but it's going to be interesting in a couple of years if they can all stay healthy and stick together. But yeah. So shout out all these teams down in Texas. It's going to be fun. But speaking of young players, I wanted to get your opinion on the NBA draft. I see Toby's got his favorite draft pick as his virtual background. But what do you guys think? And what was your favorite draft pick or picks, I guess, of the 2025 NBA draft?
Well, Toby, since the Nets had so many picks, why don't you tell us which one of those was your favorite?
Wasn't any of the Nets picks. That's for sure. I'm not going to start hating on this guy till I see him play, because when it's players like this, you never really know how they're going to turn out. But I will admit, though, I was unhappy with the choice. There was a guy on the board who I think is going to be very good, and he goes by the name of Derek Queen. I think he was drafted by the Hawks. He got sent down to New Orleans, so he'll be playing on the Pelicans next year. He really wasn't on my radar. I'm not really too much into college, to be quite honest with you, until March Madness comes up. But after talking to these guys about him, watching some of his highlights, some of his film, and watching him live and all that, I feel like he's going to be a really, really good NBA player. I feel like a lot of teams slept on him because I think he went like 14th, 15th, something like that. So I think with the Pelicans particularly, he's going to fit in pretty well, being that he is obviously big, but he can shoot, he can pass. I think he's going to pair well with Zion. I think the Pelicans might be a pretty good team next year, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, I mean, this is somebody that I think he's going to have like a pretty immediate impact on the team positively. I think he's 20 years old, so still a lot of room for development. And yeah, I wanted to shout him out because I feel like he went down in the draft a little bit. There's a lot of big names in this draft. So I think Cooper is going to be great. I think Ace Bailey on the Jazz is going to do his thing. Jeremiah Fears too. I think he's also on the Pelicans. So I think that's going to be like a nice young duo right there. And then that can, if this is who the Pelicans are deciding to invest in, then maybe they'll get rid of Zion, or maybe they'll make a bunch of, some moves at the deadline if they're not playing well. So I think this was a great draft for the Pelicans, and I think those are probably my two favorite drafts for this year.
Yeah, that's you kind of stole it from me, Toby. The Pelicans, I love their offseason too, dude. Great drafting. Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, a guard and a big, both lottery picks. So, hopefully they can develop into, a serviceable starting players in the NBA. But they also picked up Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney, reuniting them. And I feel like they definitely made another move. What?
Said I didn't even think about like reuniting those two. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I've been seeing that Jordan Poole is like super hype about it too. Apparently those two had a great relationship in Golden State. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like definitely feel like the Pelicans made another move in free agency that I'm just forgetting about, but I liked Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. I was watching a lot of Derek Queen from last year, and dude, I love the way he plays. Like he just like real quick off the dribble, just do like a little one-footed kind of like fading, like just kind of toss it up right over his defender, and he gets him to go, dude. Like he's just a real crafty player for being that big. So two great draft picks in the lottery, and then you brought him up for a second earlier, Jory, the Asian Jokic, young Hansen at 16 with the Blazers. Just from the few quick like highlight plays that I've been seeing just from summer league, could be the next Bill Walton, dude. Like,
oh my gosh,
nice, solid all around big man, can do a little bit of everything. But yeah, I don't know if we had brought it up on the last time we recorded, but I'm pretty sure the first 8 picks, if I'm not mistaken, the first 8 picks were all freshmen.
That's crazy
in this draft.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. Very young draft, at least in the first round. I think there was like 18 or 19 freshmen total selected in the first round, which is just ridiculous. So there's a lot of young talent now in the NBA. Already was, but now there's even more. For me, I thought the Charlotte Hornets, I thought they had a great draft. Honestly,
Con
Knippel was obviously the headliner. I know he got some scrutiny because Ace Bailey was still on the board, and people, they love his upside in the league, which is, totally fair. But I kind of felt like Con next to LaMelo and Brandon Miller makes more sense. I just feel like he's more of like I don't want to be insulting when I say this, but like connector piece. Like I don't know if he's going to be like a superstar necessarily, but I feel like he's going to slot in perfectly and not take away like too many touches from those two, which is important. I feel like he's a tremendous shooter. He's a really like just smart offensive player, like with the ball in his hands, doesn't really make a lot of bad decisions. And he's still very young, so he's only going to get better. At the end of the first round, they took Liam McNeely out of UConn, who's another, I think, really similar. Just a really good shooter, really smart offensive player. Will like push the pace, just does a lot of really good things. And then in the second round, early in the second round, they took Sion James out of Duke, who's Con's teammate. Just like a really good like defensive guard prospect. He's like 6'6", can play a little like point guard, shooting guard. He's kind of built like Lou Dort, just like a linebacker, like a huge guy. So I feel like he's going to be maybe not get a ton of minutes, but I feel like he's going to be a solid pickup. And then they drafted Ryan Kalkbrenner out of Creighton, who is an older prospect. I think he played 5 years in college, but he was a 4-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. So he's a massive shot blocking center who near the end of his college career started shooting threes. so he can stretch the floor a little bit. So I don't know. I feel like they just got contributors with every single pick. I don't know if any of them are going to be, superstars, but I don't know if that's really what the Hornets needed. I feel like the Hornets needed some stability next to LaMelo. And yeah, I mean, should be interesting. I think they also got Colin Sexton this offseason, the Hornets. So I'm curious to see how he fits in with that team, but I'm looking forward to see what Charlotte can do next year. I don't know if they're going to get back to the playoffs just yet, but I think this is a step in the right direction for them because I don't. You guys probably remember I was hating on LaMelo a little bit this past year, saying he's got to do more as the leader of that team, but I think they're starting to build a little bit better around him.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I like Conkinipple a lot. I liked him at Duke. I don't know why everybody's hating on him, like Justin.
I think it really, yeah. I feel like it's just because he was drafted ahead of Ace Bailey, who a lot of people liked, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think I think I agree with you. I think the Hornets are stepping in the right direction moving forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I think that team is just not ever going to be good.
It's funny.
They're a poverty franchise if I've ever seen one.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Ever since they switched to the Bobcats, they were the Bobcats, and then they switched back to the Hornets. That whole time, they've been buns.
I blame Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
the GOAT. Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's got to turn at some point. It has to. It has to. We'll see. But yeah, so this was a really interesting draft. A lot of great players. And I'm excited to watch this rookie class. But lastly, I just want to get your opinion on your favorite just general move from this offseason, whether it be free agency or a trade that was made. What are you guys feeling?
Just moving.
Yeah, real quick. Just a couple of teams I feel like, had solid off seasons. Like I said earlier, the Hawks trading for Kristaps, Luke Kennard, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Not as significant, but I really do like DeAndre Ayton to the Lakers. There's the whole thing with, the LeBron's not being involved in any moves. He's not le GM anymore. And I actually saw that Luka Doncic sent DeAndre Ayton like a, welcome to LA text, but he never got one from LeBron. So who knows with that? But Bradley Beal and John Collins to the Clippers is crazy. They did lose Norman Powell, who just had a great regular season last year, but I don't know, dude. The Clippers are deep, dude. The Clippers are real deep. And like I said earlier, Jory, your Nuggets bringing back Bruce Brown and signing Tim Hardaway Jr. and then trading MPJ for Cam Johnson, which at the time I thought was a downgrade, but only time will tell. But I might be sleeping on that trade a little bit more than I should be. Like I said earlier, briefly mentioned it, Lonzo Ball to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Great pickup. Even when Darius Garland comes back, facilitator, move the ball, likes to run, on the fast break. And you already knew it was coming. Jordan Clarkson to the Knicks.
Oh my
Great pickup. Great pickup.
Interesting. Yeah, another chucker. No, but real quick, Toby, before you go, since Justin mentioned it, I think maybe this is just me being a homer, but I really do think the Cam Johnson to Denver move it's going to change a lot for the Nuggets next year. And I'm sorry, Toby, that I'm kind of hating, but I did feel like at least last season, MPJ was like the worst starter of of the Nuggets, right? Like, obviously Jokic, MVP level player. Jamal, he's kind of up and down, but I'm taking Jamal over that. And then Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, like, I don't know. I just felt like they were more stable throughout the whole season. Defensively, they're a lot better. And I don't know. In the playoffs, Aaron Gordon was fantastic, I thought. But I feel like Cam Johnson, he not only is he like a better fit at this point in terms of you're not really sacrificing shooting when you bring him in, but you're also getting more of like a mobile player who can defend multiple positions to help Jokic. I feel like that's definitely going to help. But a huge thing with this is that he makes $18 million less than MPJ, which allowed the Nuggets to get Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr. and bring in Jonas Valanciunas. So it's like, when you look at it like that, like this was in my opinion, a home run move for the Nuggets. I feel like this is exactly what they needed. Jokic said after they lost in the playoffs that they need depth, and now he's got some depth. So, not saying they don't have any excuses, but I feel like you were right in saying that they should be totally considered as like a top contender in the Western Conference next year with OKC and Houston. Like I feel like they really don't have an excuse. Like it should be finals or bust next year for
Yeah, maybe we'll be seeing you in the finals, Tori. Maybe it'll be a little
yeah,
Knicks Nuggets finals.
it could finally happen. We've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Toby. My bad.
You're good. So, yeah, I mean, you guys both hit the nail on the head. I love the Nuggets moves. I won't go too much into them, but Bruce Brown reunited. Bruce Brown is like one of my favorite players in the league just because of the defensive energy he puts out. He could take the ball up the court if you want. He just does all the small things, all the little things, like, the intangibles. He is like a net positive, regardless on all 30 NBA teams. It doesn't matter who you put him on. Obviously, the big trade between the Nets and the Nuggets. MPJ is no longer on the team. I feel like you said, Jory, you're not sacrificing shooting. I feel like Cam's one of the better shooters in the league. Good defender, smart decision maker, and saving you guys a little bit of money, which I didn't even think of. So I think that's a fantastic move for them. On top of that, my other favorite move would be shoot, I just lost it. Hold on.
What, Desmond Bane to the Magic? Is that it?
Nah. Let me just stick to the Nuggets then. I think the Nuggets have made the best moves in the league. And I think they're going to go back to the championship this year.
Wow. It's a bold take. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I feel like they don't really have an excuse right now. I think they got still the best player in the league, and the front office went out and did what he asked them to do. So now he's got to go out there and help them win a title again. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, but didn't Joe Ingles just go somewhere? I just can't remember where he went.
Oh.
Nobody's worried about Joe Ingles, Toby.
He's staying with Minnesota, right? I think.
Nobody's worried about
Yeah, he's still with the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that's my favorite move of the offseason.
Oh my
I'm just so happy that happened.
Jingles.
I love Jingles.
No, he's a fun guy. Fun player, for sure. But, yeah, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Do you guys have any parting words? This was it's fun to be back, talk some ball. Hope you enjoy this. I know this is a little different content than what you're accustomed to seeing, but hopefully you like it.
I think
And-
finally the parting words is I'm going to be a little bit more prepared next episode, a little bit more organized, and I'm not going to try not to fumble on my words.
It's
So that's a
okay.
promise to everybody out there listening.
It's all right.
Knicks in 4. Doesn't even matter.
Knicks.
That's my parting words. Knicks in 4.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well, you didn't ask. But yeah, we just recapped the 2025 NBA offseason. And in the future we'll probably do some other sports potentially. We kind of have the freedom to do that now. But thanks for listening. And yeah, peace.
Be there for our Odyssey review.
And the Eddington review. I just watched that movie earlier today.
No, we are not reviewing that.
Crazy movie. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming, so check it out.